It's time for the Savor Food Podcast with Southwest Florida's favorite chef, Matt Geiger. Hey there, Charlie McDermott, co-host of the show, back here again with Matt. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing good today, Charlie. How are you?
I'm doing good. And man, I feel so bad. We always do this on Monday mornings, and I know you're rocking and rolling on the weekend. So fill us in. I know our topic today is behind the scenes, but let's just start with what was your weekend like?
Weekend was good. And I don't mind doing these Mondays because it gets my week rolling, you know. But a weekend was good. We did a bridal show. We did, it's called the Bridal Blast. They do it every year, and it's just an opportunity for us to get in front of actual brides to, plan their weddings, and we know that they're actually planning their weddings. So it's a good opportunity for us. We set up a booth. We give out hors d'oeuvres. We talk to them. We tell them about our services. It's pretty cool.
Your booth must be lined up with the hors d'oeuvres, free samples, man. Yeah. Very smart.
You have to. There's a couple caterers that go in and they don't have any food there to sample, and it's, you got to have something, even if it's not, your whatever la-ti-da stuff, but you got to have something to give them. Plus, we do the whole booth setup, fresh flowers, linens, the whole shebang. We want to really stand out at those booths. Yeah. So, but yes. And go ahead.
And also, before you get into the rest, I want to remind your listeners that we got into the planning aspects of a wedding in the last episode. So if you haven't listened to episode 3, go back and if you're planning a wedding, got to listen to that episode. But go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. So it's a long day though. They want you to load in there. 10 o'clock. This thing doesn't start till 1. They want your booth to be ready but an hour before, and then it goes till 5. There's a lot of production that goes into it. And I always see the rental companies put up like these huge things, and I'm like, oh my God, that takes a whole army of people. There's tux people there. If anybody's never been to a bridal blast or a bridal show, it's a really good opportunity to go see like multiple vendors in one spot. I mean, they have DJs there. They have tux and wedding dress companies. They have like chiropractors there for whatever reason. There's people there, real estate agents, because people, want to, buy a house after they get married. And there's a lot of different vendors in one spot, and it's a really good opportunity to see it. I saw something for the first time this time was they took like a old bouquet and dried it out and like put it in glass, and it was like this globe with the wedding bouquet inside of it. It was pretty cool. I've never seen that before. I don't know how much it was. I didn't talk to him, but I thought it was pretty cool for something to save. Like if you're not going to save the wedding cake top, maybe save the bouquet. Yeah. So it's a good thing for people getting married or know somebody getting married. It's a fun thing for people to come out and see a lot of vendors in one spot.
Yeah. Where was it at this year?
So it used to be at Hertz Arena. Now we're doing it at the Westin in Cape Coral. It's a little smaller there, but it just still feels good. They do a fashion show still, and they have like the runway with the tuxes and gowns and stuff coming out, and they do giveaways. And we gave away half off their hors d'oeuvres if they book a wedding thing with us. Just something to incentivize people. But the Hertz is definitely a lot bigger, but they did it on the ice, so everybody was freezing cold by the end of it.
Oh, right.
It's wild. I didn't even know they could do that stuff.
Yeah.
So, but it's really good.
Yeah. All right. So what always amazes me when I go to events, whether it's a wedding or just a catering event in general, is the stuff that you don't see. And as we've talked about, I had a little restaurant, so I understand the chaos that can happen in a little restaurant. I can't even imagine when you're doing events for a lot of people. So I thought we'd get into the behind the scenes action.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, it kind of depends on the event, and no two events are the same. As much as we'd like to train and get everybody on the same foot and have an order of operations, no two events that are the same for sure. It helps to back up when you're booking a wedding venue or booking a vendor or anything like that. It helps to find vendors that are familiar with where you are getting married. So if you have a vendor that maybe doesn't do off-premise catering, they only have their own wedding venue, then maybe it's not going to be as smooth off-site than what they're used to inside their venue. Not anything against them. It's just what their wheelhouse is. I've done a lot of on-premise and off-premise, and my company, Savor First Choice Catering, we're primarily off-premise because we have no venue, so we're used to setting up anywhere. As far as weddings go, people want to go and get married on the beach. It's Oops, sorry, Siri wanted to get in the conversation. But people, they want to go get married on the beach, which is beautiful. But there's a lot of elements to take into account. You have weather is a huge one, right? And all the things that you go through, your vendors are going through all day before you get there. So keep something. So weather is a huge one. It doesn't even have to be raining. It could just be super windy. Well, when you're on the beach and it's super windy, sand is everywhere, right? Sand's all over your tables. It's all over everything. So, or it can just be extremely hot and everybody's, so what we do, we set up, like it's a little behind the scenes. We have, we call it our offsite kitchen. It's not much. We just pretty much need a couple little burners and, our oven, and we could do catering anywhere really, But we set up our little outside kitchen. We set up a pop-up tent, so we're all in shade, and then we get to work setting everything up. If it's a real windy day, we'll maybe not set the glassware out, or we'll put some chargers or something on the napkins so the napkins don't fly away, and some things to think about when you're doing a wedding on the beach. But not all weddings are out there and outside, so we don't always have to battle the elements. If you choose a venue that's indoor, maybe we don't have to battle the elements outside, but there's parking issues. Should you get whatever, a valet service or something like that, you got to think about it from your guest standpoint. The venue might be great, but it might be a half a mile walk, and there's a lot of venues out there like that. So like indoor venues, most of the time they're pretty much set up for vendors. Sometimes they're not. Some of the things that we deal with is we get into like a room with a sink and that's all we have. So letting people know and letting your vendors know what they're getting into beforehand. We're good about asking, but some people aren't. So a good site walkthrough, if you have a wedding planner or something, to get kind of a site walkthrough and get it to your caterers or photographers, for sure we'll do a site visit, just so everybody knows what they're getting into. But, as far as behind the scenes stuff, I don't know really what we can get into that won't give too much away.
Well, before you jump to that, I love the tips. I just want to highlight a few of those. Number one is probably want to ask your caterer, if you're doing an outdoor event, if they've ever done one before,
right.
I guess. And probably the beach versus any other outdoor venue is a whole different animal.
Correct.
Because of what you said, the elements that you're going to experience on the beach that you may not experience inland. So I love that. And then the other is, doing a walkthrough, asking, I guess maybe even asking the caterer, hey, have you ever used this venue before?
Correct.
So that, you better understand. Okay.
Yeah, people that do backyard weddings. We love doing backyard weddings.
Oh, yeah.
And not a lot of people do them. I would say, in the past, a lot of people did, but, I don't get that many. I might get 3 or 4 a year. And backyard weddings are awesome. Some of these, even if it's not a big house. I did a backyard wedding right here in the Villas, right in the middle of Fort Myers, and it was beautiful. Right. We put out that green turf grass. We put out nice tables and a tent and in these people's backyard. And it was probably like 50 people. It wasn't a huge wedding, and it was beautiful and everybody was happy, and it turned out really good. So, but being able to do a full wedding out of somebody's kitchen or garage at their house, that's something that not all caterers do, or they're not used to. So, I mean, I pride ourselves on giving good product wherever we go. And a lot of that is waiting to warm up the food on site. And everybody knows that what food tastes like when it's been hot for 5 hours. It's just been hot, transported, sitting there. Yeah, it's hot, but quality wise, it's got some stuff. So we pride ourselves on that. We try to set ourselves up to give the best product wherever we go. And a lot of that has to do with just having an oven. Having an oven is the key to all of our stuff. We can have our sauces and stuff ready. We can heat up on butane burners. We have other ways to heat up smaller things, but just simply having an oven I mean, when we go
Yeah.
to these condos or open houses or, anything like that, that's all we require. Everything else. And if for whatever reason there's not one available, we have them. We have them to
Yeah.
bring on
Yeah.
site. Obviously it's better if we don't have to load it up in the truck and all the stuff,
Yeah.
but we have it because we want the quality to be there,
Yeah. Love it.
So
How about one of your, what comes to mind, like just a funny little story behind the scenes that, you're the client never sees, but you're able to juggle things and make it happen, and then might be a stressful moment, but at the end of the day, you can look back and go, that was actually pretty funny. Anything?
we've had like a full table of salads just blow off the table, right? So, and
Uh-huh.
I'm always like notorious for packing extra lettuce, and everybody feels bad because we throw away lettuce at the end of the event. But I'm like, but because I packed so much lettuce because one time when I was at
One
Lover's
time.
Key, we were getting all the salads ready, and it's like before it's dressed, so it doesn't have the dressing to weigh it down. It doesn't have
Yeah.
the things. It's just lettuce on the plate, and
Oh
we're
my God.
plating, we're
It's
plating.
like confetti.
We're probably 30 or 40 in, on it. And lo and behold, a big gust of wind comes in, and if there was a couple little leaves of lettuce left on the plate, I'd be surprised. It just blew it all away like they were feathers, like like gone. Everybody's like speechless, like what do we do?
What do we do now?
I mean, luckily I had enough to like cover the spread, but it's like everybody's panicking and
Oh,
we're chopping up more lettuce and we're trying to get it on the plate. And it's like we're still in good time, but like everybody like calm down. It was really stressful because we serve them all at one time. It's not like we're doing them one at a time, assembly line. We're putting out 50 or 100 or 200 salads and we're doing them all at one time. So when you see all your work just blow away like that, it's absolutely crazy. That's one little small story, but I
oh, that's
mean,
good. Yeah.
there's lots of little things that happen. I mean, we're in the elements all the time. I've been on the barbecue outside cooking hamburgers in the rain, because it's like, what do you do? If the grill's hot, you gotta
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
cooking them. You can't pull them off, So I mean, it's
Yeah, that was my question. What happens? Gorgeous day, and then the typical rainy season, right around sunset, in comes the thunderstorm. I mean, how does that work?
generally depending on where you're getting married and depending on who your
Yeah.
people are. If you have a wedding planner or a venue, someone that runs the venue, generally, if you know that there's inclement weather, you try to have a backup plan no matter what.
Yeah.
It's really common. It's not common to not have a backup plan unless you're really dropping the ball. But once you start getting vendors involved, they're all going to tell you, especially like rental companies or setup people or whatever. They don't want to set up a full ceremony with flowers and ribbons and chairs and the arch and all this stuff to have it all blown away or get rained on or whatever. So generally, I would say there's a backup plan. What that backup plan is sometimes isn't ideal, but you have to have it. So for instance, Lover's Key is a good example because you have to have a backup plan out there.
Right.
Before they had the Discovery Center, which we'll talk about that in a second because it's really cool. Before they had the Discovery Center, it's 100% outdoor space, period. End of story. There's nothing inside. There's no air conditioning. They have a gazebo that generally is used for like dancing, DJ, bar setup, all that kind of stuff. But we have taken an entire wedding, not a big one, but taken an entire wedding and fit it under the gazebo, as well as do the ceremony up there because of inclement weather. Right. So, and the pictures still turn out awesome. It's just not maybe what you envision. So there's always a backup plan in place. We always try to do the best we can to come together and that kind of stuff. And, there's not a lot of bad sport vendors when it comes to like fixing something in the heat, like even photographers and stuff are grabbing stuff and we're moving it real quick and everybody's wiping down seats and, we've had to wipe down ceremony chairs more times than we could count just because in Florida, maybe it's not a storm that comes through, but it's a 5 or 10 minute rain. It happens all the time. I always tell a lot of the companies that they need to invest in like a, not a baseball field size tarp, but like a big tarp like that. so that you just cover
Right.
the whole ceremony if the rain's coming in, and then pull it out, and then it's
Yeah.
dry and everything's
Yeah.
ready. Never happens. I try to stay in my lane and focus on the food and service, but
Got to be hard. You've seen so much. So
yeah,
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 yeah. And at the end of the day, all the vendors are, the bottom line is to make that such a special day or a special event.
correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and
Fine.
it's when you have one vendor that's just like, this is their job, and they're just getting the day through, and that isn't their main goal, it really affects everybody.
Yeah.
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 And it happens. There's people that have been doing this for 30 years. They're like, okay, get married, whatever. And I hope to God I never get like that. If I do, I'll hire somebody who cares more about me, because I get it. Monotony happens. The job happens. We're all human. We get bored after a while. I totally get it. And if I ever feel like
Yeah.
that, or someone tells me that, I will sure enough hire somebody to handle my stuff that really cares, because it's important.
Love it.
If
Love
we
it.
don't care,
Yeah.
how is
Yeah.
the bride and everybody else supposed to be taken care of? So we really got
Now,
to do that.
you mentioned the new Discovery Center.
So
in Lover's
the new
Cave.
Discovery Center is awesome. So
Yeah.
I don't know how the billing works or anything like that, but they built it last year, and actually during the week, it's called the Discovery Center because there's, if you don't know, Lover's Key is a state park, so they have kayaking, and there's like lots of river space, and there's like manatees back there and animals and all this stuff, and then it's also, a beach like open to the ocean. So it's a really cool state park in the like in between Fort Myers Beach and Bonita.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the Discovery Center was just built last year is when they opened, and they have all these exhibits and classes and learning opportunities for people, and that's like during the week. But during the weekend, when they're doing weddings, it's also rentable as a venue. And what's cool about that is you can be in air conditioning if you want, and you can be out of the elements. And they set up, it's a really cool architectural building. It has like really cool joists and beams, and it's really nice for the vendors too.
Yeah.
It's a huge stilted building, and they set up the tables and everything underneath, so you're out of the elements if the rain picks up. There's nice indoor bathrooms that are air conditioned. There's a lot of stuff there. So now, with the rain and everything, if that happens, that's a good alternative backup plan for brides and stuff getting married there. It's not ideal because it's a little up the road, but should we have to change plans earlier in the day, because again, we try to beat out these things. If we think it's going to rain, if it's 100% chance of rain in 2 hours, we're moving the wedding.
Yeah.
It is whether it rains or not, we have to.
Yeah.
And we've gotten in some altercations with mothers of the bride and all this stuff, and it's like, we sympathize with you, get it. We wouldn't be doing this if there was another option. However, if you choose to stay down here where it's going to be storming and stuff, I can't promise that I'm going to give you my staff while it's windy and blowing rain, lightning, and all this stuff to move your entire wedding in the storm. I can't guarantee that. As much as I'd like to say we'd do anything, when we give you the opportunity to say, hey, things might not go right, we should do this. And it's not just the one vendor. Usually all the vendors come together and they go, what should we do? And then we all come up with a plan together. And then we, relay that
Strength
plan.
in numbers.
Well, because we know we do this all the time. So the Discovery Center is a really cool venue. They have a upstairs and downstairs. Awesome for the cocktail hour. You have a roof over your head. You're still outside, but you have a roof over your head. You're on concrete. It's really, really, really nice out there. So that's a really good backup plan. At the White Orchid down in Fort Myers off of the Caloosahatchee, so that's actually where I got married. And it did rain on my wedding day, and we did have to change our...
How about that?
Yeah, isn't that just wild? So so what we did, instead of doing it out in the lawn, which is so beautiful, but we set up, they have a nice big porch out front, and we didn't have a huge wedding. It was maybe 70 people, and we set up on the porch, and we got married right on the porch. I mean, we moved all the chairs from the dining area out onto the porch and left the white chairs out on the lawn. We didn't even want to deal with the wet, the wet chairs or anything. So it was kind of a bummer, but being in the industry, we handled it, and everybody still had a good time. Everybody, had their drinks and had good food, and everybody was laughing and still it didn't kill the mood at all. Not at all, I would say.
Matt, you just said, as you go through some of these venues, I'm thinking, that would be a great episode, whether it's the next one or a future one. I mean, you've seen so many awesome venues, and for our listeners who are looking for some space, maybe just touch on a couple of highlights as we kind of tick a list of your top venues.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to push the ones where I'm the preferred vendors first, but
well, because they're the best. So,
Well, right. And, back to what I've talked about this a few times, you always want to work with people that know who they're working with, right? Yeah. So even if you're not working the same venue all the time, but you're working with the same DJ and you're working with the same photographer and you're working with the same, wedding planner. I mean, if you have those same people working together all the time, I mean, they can make a successful event or a successful wedding anywhere. So of course I'm going to push the places where I'm the preferred vendor at, but I think we're in 5 places. Yeah, we'll cover that in another episode, because it all just depends on what you want. Not everybody wants a barn wedding. Not everybody wants a beach wedding.
Yeah, but I mean, even the backyard event, whether it's a wedding or not, it's worth, because I hadn't even thought about that until you mentioned it, and I thought, wow, that would be really cool for my daughter's wedding or what have you.
Yeah, so,
and not that she's getting married. I don't want to put that out there. She is not getting married. But,
have her listen to this and be like, what?
Like what? What are you doing?
But no, that would be a good subject because not everybody has to go have the $10,000 venue. And I kind of steer people away from the super overpriced ones because, for what you're getting at, I'm not going to name the venues obviously, but for what you're getting at some of the venues that cost $8,000 to $10,000 for, 2 days setup or whatever, a lot of them are not vendor friendly and they don't care. So they're really difficult venues to work, and they're so much money, but there's nothing given back. One of my favorite venues, and again, we're going to save these for another episode. I mean, they hook it up for the vendors. They have a back area. They have an oven on site. They have a sink on site. They have a covered area for the caterers to work in. That goes a long way. And even if they do charge, and that's something we'll touch on the venues too, is the fact that they charge, some of these venues charge a percentage of the catering back to the venue. They call it profit sharing or whatever. When I first started, I tried to stay clear. Now if the venue gives me that stuff, I don't care if they charge us to be there. We like working there. We like working there. It's an easy place. We get along with everybody. It's set up for us. So if it costs a little bit extra, great. We booked a wedding and we're not hating it, versus we're at somewhere else where it's like they give you a garden hose and that's it. I'm not kidding. Some of these venues, $4,000 or $5,000 a day, and they give the caterer a literal garden hose. So so I think we're in a good spot.
I love it.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say that's going to be an awesome episode. So before I know you'll be into venue number 3 or 4 before we know it. So I'm going to hold you up.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good.
Love to share.
That's good.
And then next episode or the one after, because you have some homework to do here.
Yep.
Put together your list and we'll talk about not only these awesome venue spaces that are available, but some of the, like you said, the thinking that goes into it, before your event, so you can begin to understand what is going to work out best for you.
For sure.
Love it.
For sure. And then at some point we got to talk about something other than weddings.
We can get into, because especially now, this is September, but hey, this episode can be listened to all year round, but maybe we can get into a little bit about the holiday events.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad idea either. Yeah. There's a lot of other things that we do other than weddings. So weddings is just a big draw for us. But I mean, some people, we do the wedding, then we do the baby shower, then we do the sister's anniversary party, then we do we get stuff out after it that's not, that stem from it. So that's perfect. We'll definitely touch on lots of subjects. All right.
I love it. As always, man. It's a pleasure. Thanks for sharing your Awesome knowledge, and we'll see you in the next
Yeah,
episode.
for sure. Thanks, Charlie. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Savor Food Podcast. To learn more about Savor First Choice Catering, go to savorfirstchoicecatering.com. That's Savor, SAVOUR, First, FIRST, Choice, CHOICE, Catering, CATERING.com, or call 239 351 5547.